Jai Hind, everyone. I hope the Josh is pretty high for this talk. Yuddhasya Kathaha Ramyaha. And therefore, today we are going to listen to Shauryagatha on this auspicious day. This is Ashutosh Patki, the moderator for this event. I welcome you all, and I'm really, really glad to see such overwhelming response from you people. Firstly, let me wish you all very, very happy Independence Day. By witnessing the presence of so many patriotic hearts, some lines come to my poetic mind. सरफरोशी की तमन्ना दिल में लेकर आजादी का जश्न मनाने आए हैं, हर दिल में अब आजाद बसाएंगे, यह हट कर कर हम आए हैं. With permission of our keynote speaker, I would like to commence the program. We are going to start this program with the national anthem on flute by Rotractor Siddhant Sawant. I request you all to put your hands on your heart during the performance. Thank you. Over to you, Siddhant.
Yes, Ashu. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Siddhant. That was indeed a best start we could have for such inspiring session. After this, I would like to call Arjun for introduction of our speaker. Over to you, Arjun.
Yeah, good morning, Ashutosh, and happy Independence Day to all watching this. So, to introduce our speaker, Petty Officer Manan Bhatt is a retired non-commissioned officer of the Indian Navy, having participated in Kargil War and Operation Parakram. He joined the Navy in the year 1997 and hanged his boots in the year 2012. After 15 years of distinguished military service that included service on board frigate and corvette-class warships, appointments in Integrated Headquarters of Defense, Defense Research and Development Organization (DRDO), and some more coveted Indian naval establishments. Petty Officer Bhatt has also served closely with the Indian Navy's elite commando force, MARCOS. He has also served foreign assignments in Russia, USA, and other friendly nations. He is an expert in the field of nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare and defense, including fire and safety. Petty Officer Bhatt has done extensive research for 2 years for his book Kargil Yuddha, Gujarat Na Shahido, and immortalized the war stories of heroism of martyrs of a war that was fought 20 years back, though the memoirs of the fellow soldiers. He continuously writes and talks about stories of valor and heroism of Indian Jawans. He is also an avid thinker and national security and the problem of terrorism. Though ex-servicemen welfare organization Purva Sibuk Seva Parishad Suryodaya Maji Sainik Mahamandal Rajkot, his team is continuously striving very hard for rehabilitation of resettlement of widows of soldiers martyred, of soldiers' families, disabled ex-servicemen and ex-servicemen in general. Let's welcome Petty Officer Manan Bhatt, retired. You may commence your talk now, sir.
Sir, excuse me, we couldn't hear you. Can you please unmute your mic?
Hello. Am I clear?
Yes, sir. Now it's clear.
Are you able to listen to me? Yeah, okay. Jai Hind, everyone. I wish a very happy Independence Day to you all. Turbulences, wars, conflicts, health and financial crisis, and many more challenges have made us understand that independence is not free. Today, as the tricolor is unfurled and flying high, we must remember that the souls who laid down their lives for the honor of the flag and our motherland. Let us remind ourselves that our flag does not fly because the wind moves it. It flies with the last breath of each soldier who died protecting it. Today, I'm going to talk about many such good men who gave away their everything in service of our nation and also taught us some very tough lessons to be absorbed. My today's speech is also a humble tribute to late Colonel M.B. Ravindranath, the then CEO of 2 Rajrif, 2nd Battalion of Rajputana Rifles, and his fallen men. Unfortunately, we lost late Colonel M.B. Ravindranath in the year 2018, just 2 years after I was honored to interview him for my book. In 2015, in the year 2015, I started writing a weekly column on national security, namely War Front, in a leading Gujarati daily. One fine day, my editor asked me, "Why don't you write on Kargil war? You were part of it." I told him that, "Sir, I was at the Western Front, part of naval operations, and we never received the orders of engagement. Yes, we did prepare for some very unusual surprise attacks, but those plans and preparations never saw the light of the day. I can never reveal them. And to write on the Army and Indian Air Force operations in Kargil theater is as challenging to me as it was for him, or it was for the editor, or for anybody for that matter. But the sailor in me is a very adamant human being. I took up the challenge, and for the next 2 years, I interviewed as many as Kargil war veterans as I could. These interviews are my most prized memories. I was fortunate that being a retired soldier, they shared everything with me. I mean, few moments, few things which could never be written, could never be told to anybody, were shared with me. I have stored those moments, those memories in a corner of my heart, that I'm also keeping them in a closet and will never share it with anybody, because wars give you some very sad and some very good memories, and you don't share. You can never share everything with everyone. See, as it is in military. I'm a non-commissioned officer, so my focus has always remained on the minute details of military operations. I look at military operations from a very micro level, and exploits of the junior leadership have always been my forte. Here today, I'm going to cite the battle zone exploits of 2 infantry battalions who fought side by side at Tololing feature in Dras during the Kargil war. Those who are military aspirants and avid readers of military history, they must be knowing about Tololing and its bloody history. 18 Grenadiers and 2 Rajputana Rifles. These 2 battalions fought side by side at Kargil, and eventually 2 Rajrif was the regiment that won us Tololing. I was honored to interview 2 officers each from both of these battalions. A lot has been written about the suicidal battles of Tololing, but somewhere down the line we have missed some very important points of that deadly battle. I'll attempt to highlight them here. See, I have heard about Tololing from an Indian Air Force perspective. I have interviewed airmen and officers, pilots who attacked Tololing. Helicopter pilots, and also I interviewed a fighter pilot who was part of the Munthotalo attack. Then I was honored to interview men for 2 Rajrif, men from 18 Grenadiers. I was honored to interview a Subedar Major and a Havaldar from one of the battalions, which artillery battalions, which pounded the Tololing during the war. Many of us know about Kargil war, but let me introduce it in a minute way. 2 decades have passed since India won back the Kargil heights, exactly 21 years from the clutches of Pakistani intruders. Something that was initially reported as minor incursions of Pakistan-sponsored terrorists actually turned out to be a large-scale invasion of more than 5,000 enemy regulars. That included the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 12th battalions of the Northern Light Infantry. They were duly supported by elite commandos of Pakistan's Special Services Group. It was initially, after Simla agreement, it was mutually agreed by India and Pakistan, both the sides, to vacate the mountain peaks along the LOC prior to beginning of the harsh Himalayan winter. As the winter sets in, sports were inaccessible and inhospitable. So rather than losing the lives of the man, it was decided that both the sides should climb down to lower levels and regain the post after the winter passes. Those posts were located at inhospitable heights of 14,000 to 18,000 feet. Heavy winter snowfall cut them off from the rest of the valley. Most of these forward mountain peaks were inaccessible by road, and during winter, India had hardly any sophisticated surveillance equipment in the year 1999. I'm talking about 98-99 to keep an eye on those areas. Helicopter patrolling was carried out, but that was later found to be inadequate. The enemy took advantage of our weaknesses, India's weaknesses, and sent their men to intrude into Indian territories across the LOC in Dras, Mushko, Batalik, and subsector Hanif or Tortuk as we know it. A few days after the intrusion was detected in Dras sector on May 14th, the 18th Grenadier Battalion, which was tasked for counterinsurgency operations in the valley, was taken off from that and was ordered to evict the intruders. During briefings at brigade headquarters, the CEO, commanding officer of 18 Grenadiers, asked for maps and other technical information. He was casually told by the higher ups that there they are on the top of mountain. You can see them. You can see those intruders. You don't need anything. And there are no more than 8 to 10 infiltrators on the heights. In the armed forces, it is said that in the armed forces we spend more time defending the democracy than practicing it. So they had no choice. The Grenadiers had no choice than to attack those heights without proper information, proper maps, proper intelligence. They had very little time left with them, so they did a recce that was possible for 2 to 3 days, and the abrupt call to suddenly fight at 16,000 feet from the valley, they suddenly went up to 16,000 feet. It means that they did not have enough time to get acclimatized for the high altitude and thin air. You need at least 14 to 15 days to perfectly acclimatize for the high altitude, because there are many health issues that are linked with high altitude warfare and high altitude sicknesses. They were not given those special high altitude clothing, nor they were given snow boots and other equipments that are required for to fight wars, to fight battles at that altitude. Even artillery support was almost non-existent on those days, in the initial days of Kargil incursions. Even the incursions were not officially declared. See, Tololing is a naked mountain and it looms large and rising to 16,000 feet, a height of 16,000 feet, and it overlooks the town of Dras and a very huge chunk of National Highway 1A. The Pakistanis were entrenched in their bunkers and sangars. They had very carefully chosen their spots and built very strong fortifications. They had some very heavy weaponry at their disposal. US supplied Stinger man-pads, man-portable hand-fire missiles, Dashka shoulder-fire missiles, Dashka heavy machine guns. These machine guns are also known as infantry killers. They have a very huge round. It kills an infantry soldier instantaneously. Amidst a never-ending supply of bullets, grenades, and mortars, they were entrenched. Like they came there to stay for a very long time. I mean, probably for 2 years. They had enough rations. It was revealed later that they had enough rations and the bullets and grenades to sustain themselves for a continuous fight for 2 years. And from the backside of LOC, from the Pakistani side, they were continuously supplied with the rations and other logistics. They used these weapons rather effectively in beating down the one Indian assault after another. Pakistanis even used to roll down large boulders, patthar fenkte the, to smother any Indian troops coming up along the ridge. The situation was rather grim for the Indian troops, with progress very slow and costly in terms of human lives. The 18 Grenadiers began their offensive operations, and their first attack was on 22nd May 1999, which was unsuccessful. They launched another attack on 25th of May 1999. This time they could reach as close as 300 meters to the enemy positions. On these naked mountains, intruders entrenched all across the ridges in bunkers and natural caves located at backward slope, fortified with iron girders. Their bunkers were fortified with iron girders and corrugated sheets and located on backward slopes. Each of the grenadiers' advance was stopped as soon as it began. So much was the advantage that enemy had of that treacherous heights that no plans worked against their positioning at those advantageous heights on naked mountains, and blind bravado of Javans, of officers, was bringing only death. It was raining death on the 18th Grenadiers. On 26th of May 1999, the Indian Air Force joined the battle. 25 तारीख को शाम को, on the 25th of May, Indian Prime Minister Vajpayee gave go ahead and said, चलो ठीक है, कल से शुरू करो, to the three chiefs. So on 26th, Indian Air Force joined the battle and attacked enemy positions with fighter aircrafts, which did not affect a well-entrenched enemy. The air attacks of 26th of May had no effect on the enemy. Those attacks were on Tololing also, along with Tiger Hill and other features. On 27th of May 1999, India lost 2 fighter jets. One due to technical error, that was of Nachiketa, and another one was downed by a Stinger missile. That was Ajay Ahuja sir. On 28th of May 1999, Indian Air Force Nubra formation of Mi-17 helicopter gunships flew away to provide close air support (CS) to the advancing Indian troops. But enemy hit one helo with a Stinger missile and downed it. It happened in the clear vicinity of 18 Grenadiers troops when Indian helo was downed, and it affected a lot. Their morale was down. They were down. A battalion that was fighting since long, they were at a reach too far, and within those 2 fateful days, the Indian Air Force had lost 3 aircrafts and 6 airmen. On the reach too far, 18 Grenadiers were stuck behind a crest for 14 days, just 300 meters away from the enemy bunker. Those 300 meters accounted for almost half the losses of entire Kargil war. There was tremendous pressure from senior echelons of the army, but in the face of enemy sniper fire, continued firing from heavy machine guns, Dashka, and artillery firing. Enemy were shelling Indian army, Indian regiments with their artilleries like anything. And the only option left with the Grenadiers was of a blind all-out attack another blind auto attack. But the accuracy and potency of enemy mean that the only result of such attack would be a lot of casualties. The third attack, led by Major Rajesh Singh Adhikari, began on 30th May 1999. Under cover of artillery fire, Major Adhikari attacked from southern flank. Enemy let them come as close as 15 meters of their bunker. That bunker was later known as Barbad bunker. That is another story. As soon as Major Adhikari and his men began their attack, they were outflanked by the enemies from all sides. The scout team fought valiantly. The scout team led by Major Adhikari fought valiantly. He till the last man and last bullet. Entire attack contingent of 18 grenadiers was wiped out by the enemy. We lost Major Rajesh Singh Adhikari, Lance Nayak Rajinder Singh, Subedar Randhir Singh, Lance Nayak R.K. Yadav, and Grenadier Praveen Kumar. At that point of time, enemy was just 30 meters away, and our soldiers were pinned down behind the border and answering the enemy fire with fire. The treacherous enemy kept bodies of Major Adhikari and another Jawan at the entrance of their bunker and used them as booby traps. Enticed Indian officers to come, and they told Captain Sachin Nimbalkar that come and take away body of your major, but it was impossible. One Jawan, when tried to recover body of Major Adhikari, lost his hand, as there was a explosive which was hidden behind his body. The Grenadiers had been fighting for 15 days, and in these 3 previous attacks, they had lost lives of 25 brave Jawans and many more were injured. They were in the middle of battle for continuously 2 weeks and stuck at a point of no return. There is definitely a limit to bravado, bravery and courage. Everything has a limitations. Enough was enough. The morale of 18 Grenadiers was going down. This time around, for the 4th attack, on 22nd of June 1999, the commanding officer of the unit, Colonel Khushal Thakur, himself decided to lead the attack this time. The second in command of the regiment, Lieutenant Colonel Vishwanathan, he came forward and said, "Sir, I will lead the forward column." They climbed for 6 hours and began their suicidal attack, another suicidal attack, 4th suicidal attack at 3 am. Once again, the entire forward column was wiped out by the enemy. Lieutenant Colonel Vishwanathan, Subedar Ram Kumar and many others fought bravely, bloodied the enemy, but lost their lives in the cause. Lieutenant Colonel Vishwanathan was the senior most officer to lay down his life at the Kargil heights. His death opened eyes of the senior echelons of the army, who decided to revamp their plans, the strategy. In such grim situation, 2 Rajputana rifles was assigned the task to recapture Tololing. They came ready for the task. It seemed that they came ready for the task. They wargamed the Tololing attack plan and conducted mock operations on nearby ridges, which were similar to Tololing features. They laid out plans and prepared their assault strategies on sand models, which were prepared after thorough recce of the Tololing ridges from all the sides. They even test fired the weapons from different lots which they were issued, and they could eliminate an entire lot of defective hand grenades. Just imagine what would have happened if those hand grenades would have reached them when they were fighting when they were in the middle of the battle. See, as 18 Grenadiers was already there, 2 Rajarif was they were ably aided by 18 Grenadiers, and they learned from the mistakes that, the problems that they had to face, 18 Grenadiers had to face. 2 Rajarif learned a lot of him, and they could establish their fire base at a very advantageous location nearer to the army. And yet it was a very, pretty safe location from the enemy artillery fire. It has been said numerous times that the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. This was definitely a group of people to Rajri, the battalion that sweated most in peace. After, let me go back a little bit. After Colonel M.B. Ravindranath took command of the battalion, he had organized map reading, cross-country BPT, known as battle physical test, and fighting competitions between sections and platoons of each of the companies of his regiment. See, this is something that made a lot of difference. Entire, I mean, he rejigged the entire regiment, and his focus was on sections rather than the entire regiment, or rather than on the companies. Known as the smallest unit of an infantry battalion, a section has a strength of 10 men, 7 to 10 men. 3 to 4 sections make a platoon, and 3 platoons make a company. Generally, a regiment has 3 companies. Have Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta is the headquarter company. Normally, in infantry regiments, sections of platoons get mixed up in between. Some of the sections, like MMG section and other sections, are forced to function with anomalies in terms of number of men and their capabilities for the role assigned to the man and the sections. Colonel Ravindranath took time when he took over the battalion, the regiment, and ingrained in each of his men the importance of sections. He did a thorough SWOT analysis of the men under his command and put them into most suitable sections, keeping in mind their abilities. He analyzed it and thus empowered the founding element of the infantry. The internal competitions and employment of best practices mean that the strategic havaldars and belligerent nayaks of his unit always remained physically fit and mentally tough for the challenges ahead of them. Interregimental bonding was at its best, so was their professional competency, which was visible during the war. What I am telling you about to Rajreef has never been told, has never been spoken about. It was told to me by somebody who served under Colonel Ravindranath and has seen those changes happen and has felt that those changes, he himself won a Veer Chakra, the soldier who gave me this interview and informed me about this particular changes and the focus of Colonel Ravindranath. And it is a proven thing when Tu Rajreef won Tololing for India that Colonel Ravindranath's exploits and his focus on the sections really paid off. Soldiers can do amazing things when they understand the why and the larger picture, which was provided to the man of Tu Rajreef. Colonel Ravindranath understood that the men under his command were his assets, and the key to success of his battalion in combat was his man. So he involved each of the men, regardless of their seniority. He empowered their subordinates and peers. The best ideas tend to come from the edge, the men at the edge, conceived by those who are closest to the problem. The internal competitions created a unique combination of an individual's fighting spirit aided by the sense of military teamwork. The Jawans were now privy to concrete sense of belonging in the battalion, in the Paltan, as they lived and fought in a very closely knit family. As they were tasked to capture Tololing, the commanding officer, ably supported by very experienced junior commissioned officers and officers of his unit, created a shared understanding of the purpose, the problems ahead, and the approaches to solving those problems that eventually won them the Battle of Tololing. As General George Patton had said, don't tell people how to do things. Tell them what to do and let them surprise you with the results. An order that is passed to a Jawan, a man under your command, should not trespass or on the province of a subordinate. It should contain everything that the subordinate must know to carry out the mission, but nothing more. In the modern times, it is known as the mission command concept. Fundamental to the success of army unit is the establishment of mutual trust between the leaders and the led. There can be no shortcuts, grand strategies, or easy answers here. It is the innumerable, unremarkable daily acts of conduct and consideration that establish this trust, mutual trust, that the feeling of eternal brotherhood made the Jawans fight in the face of certain death in order to achieve their battle's objective. All in all, Colonel Rabindranath, MB Rabindranath, empowered his NCOs by encouraging ideas that provided them with cognitive, social, and physical development. As I said earlier, in the military, we spend more time defending democracy than practicing it. Colonel Rabindranath included the sections in the planning process, made the section leaders brainstorm and then come up with solutions, develop courses of actions, and executed them, while the platoon leader and platoon havaldar supervised and refined those actions. Two Rajrif begins their assault on 12th of June 1999. They had tied saffron squaws on their foreheads and pledged, उन्होंने प्रतिज्ञाएं ली, that they will only return after conquering the pigs and not return defeated. They were the very people for whom honor and pride came before death and defeat. As the sun set on 12th of June 1999, the Rajputana Rifles assault team of 90 men, led by Major Vivek Gupta, was ready behind big boulders just 300 meters short of the target. Shortly before the charge, the commanding officer gave a pep talk, Rabindranath ji, to his men. I have given you what you wanted. Now you have to give me what I want. The men were so charged that a JCO said, interrupting the CO, "Sir, come to the Toloning top in the morning. We will meet you there." Then by 8 p.m., 120 artillery guns started pounding the enemy. The enemy had ridges of Toloning with all their firepower. Enemy was pounded like anything. As soon as the artillery fire died down, the Rajrif assault team charged quickly as the enemy was attacked from three sides, whilst the 18 grenadiers gave them cover and consolidated at 3 points just 300 meters below enemy positions to give them a foothold to launch the attack from. All said and done, eventually it came down to the extraordinary bravery of two Rajrif soldiers in the face of certain death. It is now a folklore after 21 years, but it is remembered in army parlance. It is remembered in the army circles. Their bravery and it's a legend now. They fought like men, possessed and sacrificed everything that they had to win back those barren mountains from the clutches of the treacherous enemy. In hand-to-hand battles ensued on Tololing. So fiercely did the men of two Rajputana Rifles fought, so bravely did they scale the mountain top, and so effectively they vanquished their foes. The ferocious and victorious attacks of 2nd Battalion of Rajputana Rifles had turned the tide of entire Kargil war in India's favor. They lived up to their motto, Veer Bhogya Vasundhara, the brave shall inherit the earth. For them, for two Rajrif, the Tololing victory came at a very high cost of lives. 4 officers, 2 JCOs and 17 Jawans were dead. They martyred. 70 wounded. Out of them, 26 were incapacitated for the rest of their lives and later released from service. The Battle of Tololing changed the entire course of Kargil war. The heights above Dras Valley were now free from the intruders, and it made the National Highway 1A safe from enemy's watch and artillery barrage. The war wasn't over yet. It was just the beginning of India's victories. The impregnable was conquered. It was time for the improbable, Tiger Hill. The brave soldiers of 18 grenadiers, unluckily, they had lost too many men as they were prematurely injected into fierce battle at Tololi. They were given another opportunity to redeem their lost pride in of their Paltan at Tiger Hill, the highest and steepest peak of Kargil area. The unassuming Paltan, led by an ever-inspiring leader, Colonel Khushal Thakur, rose like a phoenix from the ashes of their fallen comrades and won back Tiger Hill for the country. Grenadier Yogendra Singh Yadav won nation's highest wartime gallantry award, the Paramveer Chakra, for his bravery at Tiger Hill. I personally believe that the Kargil War and the lessons learned with the tremendous loss of lives of our officers and Jawans must stay with us so that we can continue to learn and inspire from them. Once again, I thank you, everyone, Arjun, the Neckhead Society, Air Force Aspirants, Defense Page, Rotaract Club of Ramaniranjan Junjunwala College, and Rotaract Club of National School of Journalism, and the Defense Aspirants, and all the attendees for this honor to speak at Shauryagatha. Let us get together and make a better India. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir. That was an insightful session, sir. There were several moments where we had goosebumps too. So we do have some questions for you. For audience, if anybody from viewers have any questions, please write it in the chat box. I will read them on your behalf. Please be sure that your questions are related to the topic and sensible as well. So let's begin. So there are actually a lot of questions we have received while registering, but now I'll be first present the questions which came from the live streaming from YouTube channel. Shrikar Kulkarni asked, do you think Pakistan did years of practice to attack on Kargil or have been planning to do the same?
See, history tells us that General Musharraf wanted to conquer Srinagar. They wanted to, conquer the entire Jammu and Kashmir, particularly the valley, and he had been practicing for it since 1984. They did conquer a few heights in Siachen. They Kargiled us in Siachen, I would rather say. They were effectively beaten back by Bana Singh, and who won the Paramveer Chakra. We did not learn from it. We did not learn from Siachen, and we again found lackluster when enemies, the SSG, which initially entered the Kargil heights. So it was led by General Musharraf then, and in 1984, General Musharraf was colonel of the regiment, the SSG. So it was definitely a long-term plan, which was there on their table. It was just the time that when Musharraf came into power, when he became the army chief, he actually put it into effect. Yeah, next, please.
Yeah. So, sir, we learned that you also served as a Marco in the Marcos. So there is a question. It's a quite big question. I'll just summarize it for you. It means that as a war veteran or as an experienced person, you know that how all these commandos and elite forces remain very calm during the difficult conditions and crisis situations. So how they maintain that? Would you like to share some examples to shed light on it, please?
Definitely, I was there with the Marcos. I've seen them operating very closely. I have so many friends in the Marine Commando forces, and I was very surprised when I first joined them in the year 2003-4. I was with them, and on the same table, my first dinner in Abhimanyu, INS Abhimanyu, was alongside someone who won a Shaurya Chakra for India. I was so excited. To share your lunch table with the Shaurya Chakra awardee was the biggest honor of my entire service life in 2003-4. So see, I've seen them very closely, and I've operated with them. I've participated in so many exercises along with them. I've seen there is an extraordinary ability that they gain during the training, and those who are not able to do that are simply rejected from the, and the attrition ratio that the special forces special forces have is very high. Out of initial, say, 100 trainees who are selected for the special forces, only 20 to 30 pass out from the course, and even the course is so much harsh. It just challenges each and every each and every organ of your body, each and every sense that one has, and eventually the men who are picked are really special. I've seen them. They are just para SF or the Marcos, the Garud commandos. They are very special. Physically, they are so very fit, but when it comes to taking immediate decisions, they have proven it that during the time of crisis, they are able to take very speedy decisions and effectively handle any situation that comes in front of them. The man whom I'm talking about, who won the Shauryagatha at Kargil, he was patrolling in Kashmir, and suddenly the fog gave away their presence, and just in front of them there were 3 militants. He shot them with a single burst. It was a fraction of movement that if he fired first, and those militants, if the militants would have fired, they would have died. So they have a, see, as we know that Sachin has an extra fraction of second to play his shots. He can see the ball much earlier than we could even sense the ball. So this is what this SF forces, special forces, the men of these special forces have in them. Their minds are trained to react a fraction of second, react those fractions of seconds earlier, and that is why they are so much successful. That is why they are so much fierce. Yeah, please. Next question, please.
Yeah, so sir, also there are a couple of questions with media, like where media has. Shresh Sharma asked very relevant questions. Sir, how do you think the media affected the war, and how it should operate in future in similar situations? We have received quite a few questions regarding this topic. How what is media's role in such crisis situation?
Media should see. I am from a very, old-fashioned. I believe I'm from a very old-fashioned school of thought. So I believe that media should maintain a safe distance from the military operations, and it is a known fact. So many people tend to forget that the effect that a lady reporter of a certain television channel, her live reporting had on the Kargil operations, and there were deaths. I know that a very senior general and a very senior air marshal had also reported that she threatened them, and even the attack on Tiger Hill, it was a secret. Each and every military operation is a secret. See, there has to be a ये जो populance की जो games हो रही है, जो popularity to gain popularity, sometimes political masters do allow media near to military operations, but it is not, in my opinion, it should not go so much near that their presence starts affecting the military operations. Live telecast of military operations have hampered operations. They have resulted in deaths of so many of the men. So I'm quite old-fashioned. So sorry for that. Thank you.
All right, sir. Then Nirmal Dubey, who is now in the call, asked about the Pakistan has recently released a new political map, which in which it has considered Indian territories also. So, what is your viewpoint? Will it put a diplomatic or any kind of pressure on India, armed forces, or something? What do you think?
See, the map also has Junagadh in it. The king of Junagadh, Nawab Babi, he never wanted to annex Junagadh to Pakistan. Then आरजी हुकूमत लोगों ने खुद अपनी सेना बनाई जूनागढ़ के the resident Junagadh, and they attacked from there was a Saurashtra involvement also. They attacked from outside, and Nawab has to fled India. He went to Pakistan. Till today, Nawab of Junagadh is known as the Nawab of Junagadh. He has been declared, and Junagadh has always been in the forefront of Pakistan's diplomacy. It is just that it was never internationally showed. It was never spoken about in as they have done it now. But if you check Google, the Nawab and his family still believe that they are the rulers of Junagadh, even if they are staying in they are living in Pakistan. So Pakistan has been daydreaming. As far as I am concerned, I don't consider Pakistan as a. Every enemy nation, every adversary is a challenge. But at the current in the current scenario, I could sense a danger, sense a very huge danger from China rather than from Pakistan. See, Pakistan is a weak country. It might eat grass and nurture nuclear weapons and talk about nurturing nuclear weapons. But if you forget nuclear weapons, then because nuclear war will not be sustainable for any country, be it Pakistan or China. So in a conventional war scenario, China is the biggest threat for India.
Okay, sir. So I personally have one question. As a army person or an armed force person, I would like to ask that. India is slowly shifting towards defense privatization. Different country में बहुत जोर से defense privatization चल रहा है, खास करके इस government जो 2014 से आया है, it's going like big time. So what do you think? Are we on the right line for the defense? Are we on the right time? I would say. Are we on the right time to start the defense privatization? What do you think?
We see defense privatization began in the Navy. In the Navy in late 90s, by 1998-99, we indigenization was the word. The initial naval contracts were given to MDL, Mazgaon Docks Limited. Then GRSY came into contracts. Then L&T has been a big player for building naval warships. We took 35 years to build Arihant, the nuclear submarine. Arihant 2 is in progress. So as far as Navy is concerned, even though Navy was late, because India there is an issue with our mentality. There is a prohibition on guns in India. Ahimsa has been the word. So to manufacture the basic weapon like gun has been a challenge for us. So to gain so much of you just cannot build sophisticated weapons, planes, jets suddenly on one fine day. So this ability gaining will definitely going to take 20 to 30 years at the best of the abilities. And if you want to speed up the things, you need to bring in licenses. You need to see there is an issue with the jet engine that LCA uses. India has not been able to. Unfortunately, you are not able to build a jet engine for the LCA. Also, the engine that we built, Kaveri 1 and 2, they also ran into some problems. So we need to talk about defense indigenization is good, but you need money, you need to pay. I mean, see, if a very good engineer goes to NASA, the best of Indian aeronautical engineers are employed by NASA. They are given best of the salaries. India, unfortunately, our corporates, if you talk about private, the corporate should have come forward. Nobody said no to them. As L&T has come forward for Indian Navy's capacity building and indigenization, we are building warships, we are building submarines. So, but unfortunately, corporate has not loosened their pockets. They just want to earn big bucks, but don't want to spend